to put on a dope league or to put on a dope business or scale a business. Like, people can only see the surface level success from that. No one has an idea of like what it really takes, on the back end. Those endless phone calls, endless meetings, endless planning. It's just the same work ethic from basketball.
Hello, everyone, wherever you're watching from. This is Coach David again. Basketball Nation presents Beyond the Athlete, and you're tuned into another amazing episode. And today we have a special and amazing gentleman who's doing some amazing things within the sports world. He used to be an athlete, still an athlete himself. Of the game of basketball, but then one thing that we are going to explore is other things that he does, especially in the world of business and sneakers as well. His name is Ron Abercrombie, and he'll let me know if I've said that right when he comes on. And he's actually the VP of Sports Business Development at the Surgeon, and also founder and commissioner of the league. Ron, we appreciate you coming on the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm good. Appreciate you for having me on here, man. Just having this, cool, thorough conversation, get it going.
Nice. I'm loving your background, by the way. I come from a fashion background, so looking at all those
right?
pieces, it's quite nostalgic for me, for real.
Kind of like the epitome of who we are, honestly. This is I'm actually sitting in the academy area, like at our space, where we have people come through and create shoes from a surface level and like a decon or recon level. So we have our wall of fabrics where people get to pick and choose like their materials before they cut and sew their ideas.
Nice. So you're Ron. So like, tell me about yourself. I know I've just introduced you on kind of like the surface, most basic level, but let's know who you are. What was your upbringing like? How did you get involved in even the sport of basketball itself, really?
I mean, yeah, sure. I grew up playing basketball. Like, basketball was my first love. Played basketball up to high school, college, even the pro level. I thought I was going to be playing pro ball for about 10, 12 years, if we want to be straight honest. And as we all know, the world took a hit in 2020. COVID came through and kind of shifted everyone's focus. And that's actually like when I retired and turned that page. I've always had other interests. I've always had other interests coming up, growing up, fashion, business. Like, those were like my things that I'd always follow and track and exercise like anyhow I could. But basketball being like the thing that paid for my school, and it was my employer for 3 years. And so when COVID came through, it just kind of gave me perspective on the careers that are long lasting versus the careers we love versus the careers that are, less tangible on our bodies. And so I got into the corporate world of cannabis, actually. And so ran my own distribution firm, started my own licensing firm where we buy and sell cannabis licenses, pretty much selling businesses. And in that process, I actually met the co-founder of the Surgeon through selling one of his businesses. And this was just like a side conversation at the time, was the fact that there will be a basketball court being built at Surgeon Studio still. And at the time, it was just an idea. It wasn't work just yet. It was more of a perk of life, right? Just having access to one of the dopest gyms in the city, being able to put on some really cool basketball runs. And after a couple months of like these exclusive runs we did every Wednesday, an idea sparked. And that's when this owner and myself kind of sat down and figured out like what that looks like for the company. And so the idea to make the craziest, most immersive experience basketball league and futsal league came into fruition. And that was actually like the first project I took on, spearheaded when I got here at the company. And not just putting the league on, really scaling the business as well. Because at the Surgeon, we're multifaceted. There's a bunch of different platforms here that we try to scale outside of sneaker development.
I like the fact that we're speaking because as the title is Beyond the Athlete. So we're looking at people, individuals that are doing amazing things, even just beyond the sport of basketball, or beyond the sport, beyond sports in general, of even being an athlete as well. So the fact that from what you were doing, playing pro, then retiring, and then now doing this is like, it's quite huge. Like, a lot of young guys would think that, if they don't make it to the pros, or if they don't play basketball to a certain age, a certain level, that's it for them. There's nothing
Right.
else they can do. But realizing that, oh, I can still harness my existing skills outside of basketball right now, that if that's still an alternative, regardless, or that's still the next stage after maybe playing pro for like 10, 20 years as well.
Yeah.
So that's something that we try to really push on our platform as well. So it's really great to hear that from you, that that's what you're currently doing as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was like one of the biggest challenges in life, was figuring out when to turn that page. It was for most people, it's probably about how to turn that page, or if it's possible, right? For me, it was more so like when. And then, you know, having the world shut down and seeing the NBA shut down just gave me perspective, and just
Yeah.
kind of like allowed me to really dive deep into my other interests. And, you know, we got a chance to take a step back as the world was shut down. So I got a chance to really think through what type of life I would have outside of basketball. And one thing I always knew, and I'll tell my parents this too, so they wouldn't get too nervous about me putting all eggs in one basket. I said, look, I'm going to go to the league with or without basketball. And that was my way of saying, like, I'm trying to find a way to be successful outside the basketball court, because basketball was my identity, you know, my entire life. And it still is. You know, it's a part of who I am. But I know that that's a sport that's, you know, it doesn't last forever. You know, we're leaning on our bodies to, you know, promote that success for us. And, you know, I think I was, you know, wise enough to kind of think outside that box and, you know, start putting my energy and work ethic into other industries. And so just having it come full circle now, and, you know, starting to be recognized for things that I'm doing off the court, it's kind of humbling, just to see the impact, right? Because as a basketball player, like, we're trying to be, you know, be the best on the floor. It's super competitive.
Yeah.
You know, there's someone always trying to pick your spot, right? And so that's the same mindset. And you know, yeah, that's the same mindset I took to the corporate world, I would say.
Yeah. So basically, you what you just said is that you've pretty much taken skills that you've learned from the sport and applied it to this new stage of your life as well.
Yeah,
much.
not only just applying it, but really like going ham on it, right? Because
Yeah,
in basketball, in order to score 20 points in a game, like, no one understands the type of how many shots you have to get up, like, on a weekly, daily basis to be able to perform at that kind of clip. So to put on a dope league, or to put on a dope business, or scale a business, like, people can only see the surface level success from that. No one has an idea of like what it really takes, you know, on the back end. And, you know, it's endless phone calls, endless meetings, endless planning. You know, it's just the same work ethic from basketball. And I learned a lot about from Kobe too. I was watching Kobe's documentary, and, you know, he kind of just expressed like the importance of him having a life outside of sports. And he knew within his second year as a basketball player in the NBA that he was going to be a storyteller, right? And so I think more athletes need to key in on having other interests outside what they think their identity is, right? It just allows people to practice like different things, so they can find out early if it's for them or not, you know.
That's true.
But yeah, everyone has like a different race and a different pace as well. But most importantly, I think it's just truly finding that thing that like makes you happy. It sounds cliche, but
It's not cliche at all. It's true.
It's true. That thing that makes you happy will spark that everlasting work ethic to back it up, you know.
Yeah. See, like the process, like the process that you took from playing pro to what you do now with the league and Surgeon Studios is completely different from mine. It took me maybe 6-7 years to realize my next stage. So because I haven't stopped playing, I still play, but the last time I played any sort of competitive basketball in London, in the UK, was, oh, actually no, longer than that. This was 2013.
Okay.
So
almost 10 years.
So, and it's only last year that I realized, oh wow, the love kind of went away, because I was like, I'm not gonna make it pro. I'm 5'9". I started playing late. As much as I put in work, I'm not that talented, but I can play. And I'm from UK. I mean, I'm not gonna make it anywhere at 5'9" anyway. So I ended up following my path that I grew up in, which is fashion, because my mom and dad in Nigeria were designers, and then my mom here still designing as well. So I went down that route. That didn't work out as well. As much as I did some styling here and there for like music videos, magazines, etc.
Yep.
But then the love for basketball came from me starting to have a love for people, and meeting a 16-year-old kid that didn't have access to playing a basketball indoor court. I was like, you know what? Okay, cool. I'll bring my guys, you bring your guys. Let's just meet up at this gym. I'll pay for it. We play for 2 hours. It was meant to be 10 of us, became 25 of us. And then since then, we've just been doing runs every week without having to let all the young guys pay for it. We pay for it and they just play for free. And that's something that they've never had before. I didn't have that growing up. I had to pay to play indoors most times. But now they have that option of not paying at all, and all they can focus on is coming to play basketball. Whether they're going through something at home, mental health, wherever, they can just put that all on the floor in that gym, basically. And that's what we wanted to create from this platform.
No, that's huge. I mean, that's exactly how I got the groundwork set to be able to like put on this league. Again, we were doing these runs every week, and it wasn't work yet. You know, it didn't feel like work. It was just, again, a perk of life, being able to have access to come through a dope spot and bring people together. And the people we were bringing together weren't necessarily like the guys that are still trying to go pro. It's the guys that have a background in basketball or futsal, and then they now come together to just shake a hand and just meet different people that are in their similar industries, right? So it's really all about like the space they come in, and we're using basketball as the common synergy to get people together, you know, and through that, you know, that's what sparked the league, right? The league is not about who gets dunked on, who scores the most goals. It's about the brands and all the people that are participating and putting themselves in that team, you know, because at the highest level, when this thing starts getting broadcasted, it's a TV show. People may not recognize the players, but they will recognize the brand involved, because the brand still stands for the same message we do. And so really just using basketball as like a common ground.
Yeah, it's a smart move. I really like it. I wanted to ask, what was your mindset and thought process like making that transition from retiring towards the business world? Because people would think, oh, it's just happened overnight, but there must have been some sort of thought process. You'd have had to go through certain challenges as well, a lot of no's as well.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it started, I guess, when I was younger. With, you know, I'm a first generation American. My family is Nigerian. Doesn't really matter what we do, but I was always taught to not have all eggs in one basket, even though I was all eggs in the basketball basket. Like, you know, that's all I did. It's all I didn't apply to college, right? Because I wanted to get a scholarship, and I figured that basketball players get recruited. So that was like when I realized how far I was in the all eggs in the basketball basket. But I already had other interests, like I said earlier, like in the fashion space, in the cannabis space, in the business space, right? So, you know, COVID just gave me an incentive to just turn that page. And so the process at first was me thinking that I was going to just work a corporate tech job because I love tech. And I was actually in the process of like, you know, working at Facebook. And I got a call from a close friend to, you know, be an account executive at a corporate cannabis company. And so it just took a shift. These are just doors opening up in my life, and I'm just like walking through them at this point. So, you know, a lot of life is about opportunities that come up and just knowing which ones to take and which ones to like turn away from. So for me, it was just about walking into that right door at the right time. And so through working in the cannabis industry, that's actually where I started practicing and exercising like my business acumen. And then not only that, I was able to like, you know, formalize relationships and, you know, build and grow and just like open up my network. And it's just through that, that's when I kind of started seeing the world differently, started seeing what was possible. You know, my first 6 months of that is when I realized how impactful the world is outside of sports, you know. And so I would say my journey was like, it's a little different than anyone else that's just looking to like turn a chapter. You know, I almost felt like everything I was interested in started just popping up in my life, and I just had to know which one to entertain. The no's that I went through was really just navigating through this world of like how to level up from this, you know. And I just, you know, I didn't really have the answers, but I just knew to attack it like I did basketball, which is just to be all ears and all work ethic. And so, yeah, you know, that's the question I'm answering a lot of today. How'd you get here? and what was that process like? And my only answer is just like following the signs, really. And again, that might be another cliche moment, but life is all about signs and opportunities and just like knowing what to entertain. And so as these things start popping up, I just started honing in and started asking myself, what does 2 years after here look like? And so every year there was like a new evaluation I made on my journey and process. And, I even asked some of my mentors now, like, how do I navigate through these options? Like, I want to do this, but I'm here. So it's honestly an endless journey of education, like, yeah, I don't even know if that answered your question, but
No, it does.
Yeah, there isn't like I couldn't have made this up, right? Like it's just
yeah. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah, but yeah,
Like,
I mean,
sorry.
yeah, I mean, like I would say like one of the biggest no's was probably, just the reality of getting a job. The reality of getting a job like after pro basketball, when I'm thinking like, okay, I'm gonna work in this space. Okay, that's just like one step of the process. The other step of the process is actually getting interviewed and actually getting put on and referred up. So it was just a reality check, honestly. It's like the biggest reality check, and it's what humbled me as an individual, knowing that nothing is promised. And I kind of knew how to like control my emotion towards things once I played in the basketball world, man. Like I worked out with the Bucks out of college, and for a second I thought I made the team, but then just to get sent home. So I learned early to not fall in love with the process too much. Oh no, I'm sorry. I learned not to fall in love with like the idea of things being confirmed and done, set in stone. Because it's just such a hairy process that no one really sees.
That's true. It's crazy because every story that you tell, I can relate to it, and this is only just over my first year, so I'm not even 2 years yet into what I'm doing so far, but it's like those no's, the no's that I get, I use them as quite a few things. One of them is it's not my time yet. Basically, I'm not ready yet, so it's almost like I need to put in more work. Basically, I need to wait my turn, pretty much. It doesn't mean I stop doing what I'm doing. It just means I just need to keep consistent, and that no can be turned into a yes. But then I also think that with certain no's, based on how I receive that no, is that okay? Maybe I need to have a different approach as well, or maybe I need to have something that gives me some sort of leverage for them to say yes. So, like you said, it's also timing as well, and like there's so many factors. Just having to be able to read it and know how to react to it. So, for example, the same way I emailed you guys is the same way I've also emailed Adam Silver as well. Don't ask me how I got his email. I have my ways of finding people's emails, but they replied to me and said no. But it wasn't just a no. They actually sent a message saying, "Oh, we've seen what you do. We love what you're doing, but right now it's not the best time." So I was like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's great.
This is a good note.
Great.
This is a good note." I'm like, nobody. I'm just been doing this for a year. So like stuff like that. I'm like, everything. That gives me motivation. Keeps me motivated and keeps me going as well. So that's why I can really relate a lot to what you're saying, and I know a lot of people listening to this will be able to relate as well, which is amazing.
Oh yeah, and I'm sorry, I was going to piggyback off what you said right then and there. Those no's are so important because the people who make it to where they want to go, they're used to those no's, and they don't take no as a no. They take no as a maybe next time, right? And so I'm in the process of pitching this entire thing because we've essentially, the league is turned into a TV show, and there's a bunch of networks that it's perfect fit for, and there's a bunch of networks that I think it's a perfect fit for. That process alone has humbled me because I know the yeses and I know the nos, but the yeses keep me going and the nos keep me motivated. And so so what you said was gold. That was gold.
My wife always says to like family and friends that I'm like the most odd person, that she sees my emails with so many no's and I'm actually smiling and laughing about it. So she doesn't realize why. Obviously she knows why now. Sometimes she's like, why are you so excited? I'm like, when they emailed me back, they emailed me that I'm excited about the fact that I got the email back. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. It's very interesting. I want to circle back now to your life playing basketball. So when did you fall in love with the sport of basketball, and what made you fall in love with it? And then I'll ask the next question after that.
Yeah, so I remember basketball being the thing that traces me back to like my earliest days. I would say like
Mm.
preschool, like it's like 4 years old, 5 years old. My parents got me a basketball. They got my brother a Laker ball, and they got me a Chicago's Bulls ball. And then that's when I became a Michael Jordan fan. And it was
Mm.
just like that thing that I was able to use as my sanctuary and like my getaway. So I just remember that was the one thing that uh, I shared in common with anyone I went to school with. Again, like I'm first gen American, I speak 2 languages, so there was really never anything that like I could relate to with other
Mm.
students. And so basketball was that thing that I usually connected with, and then through that I was able to create relationships and create synergies and build. And before you know it, I was able to make varsity in ninth grade, and then those were some of like the early steps on that showed me that I was able to compete at a higher level. Um,
Mm.
and then, yeah, just, using that to drive my way through life, getting scholarships to go to college. And, it was kind of like that. It was my identity. If anything, it was my middle name.
Yeah, I get it. And obviously, that transition from high school, what was playing high school like compared to college, and what was that transition like as well? And the reason why I ask this question is because a lot of guys in the UK tend to, everyone's dream from here, a lot of basketball players is to go to the States and play high school or play college, and then also
Yeah.
play in the NBA.
Yep.
So for someone that's actually done that, that's lived there pretty much all his life, what's that experience like for you as well? Or what was
I
it
mean,
like
for
for you?
me, it
Sorry.
was, yeah, for me, it was a little different because most people that go and play high school varsity at an early age, they usually been playing up their entire life, meaning they're playing with like the older kids. And I never got a chance to do that until ninth grade when they told me that I was on varsity. And now I'm playing with
Mm.
guys with chin hair. It was like the maddest thing ever. Like, it just changed perspective for me. And then
Mm.
just being able to transition from that into college, was even harder because, now I'm dealing with guys who are, on the brink of going pro. I'm just a
Yeah.
freshman coming in, and then like my teammates are guys getting recruited by NBA teams, and so I just learned a lot, and it just always reminded me that there's levels. And so with the little success I had with basketball coming up, I was always able to stay like level headed because I knew that there was levels to go.
Mm.
And so with that process alone, that's what allowed me to like stay working, never get comfortable,
Yeah.
and just like really stay in the gym, just so I can like find that time to separate myself and turn it up a notch.
Okay. Amazing. And did you always have that business acumen about you during that time as well?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I kind of grew up like selling candy at school a little bit, and my dad would take me to the Costco's to get the wholesale, and so through then is when I learned the acumen of just like
Mm-hmm.
wholesale and consumer and getting profits. And when I was actually in college, that's when I started running my own distribution company, hands off. So that's kind of like when I started practicing my business acumen while being an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to play pro, that's when I kind of like had to put more formalize it a little more, have people actually like run it for me while I'm away playing. And yeah, those are just like the preliminary experiences that gave me like the same acumen I have now.
Okay. Amazing. So I'll bring it back to where we were before and really focus on the league. So founder and commissioner. How long have you been running the league?
So the league started last year
Okay.
in July of 2022. So it's barely, it's a little over a year old. We're in our second season right now. I started at the company here last year, January, and the league took off about 4 months after that. So yeah, we're almost coming on 2 years since I've been at the company. And yeah, my main project is running the league and building it out.
And in terms of how do you think in terms of social media, is that a strong space for you guys right now with the league in terms of how you're pushing it to the global audience?
Yeah, I mean, social media is going to be our number one driver right now. We have a couple social accounts that we run. Our main account has over 1 million followers, and then we have our secondary account, which is the headquarters to our creative space, Surgeon Studios, which is the home for the league. And the content that we're putting out on there, we're posting on our stores, we're posting reels, and that's what gives people the experience if they're not here. But luckily, we've been able to sign with an agency whose job it was to turn the concept of the league into a TV show. And so we have it TV ready. We have a treatment for it because as the league is happening, that's probably what people are going to be thinking is, yo, where can I watch this or where can I see this? And there were other agencies that thought the same thing. And that's why we were able to sign with them so they can package it up to take it to TV. But in that process, we've been able to do some deals with Snapchat as well, just to capture like the weekly recaps. And so there's a lot of mind share that we're building on right now. But most importantly, though, what we've been using as our tool to really just like get it out there are the players, because the players, the number one thing they want out of what they're doing is their content and their highlights. And so we have stage shooters here every day, and we'll have our watermark on the videos. And so it doesn't even have to come from our page. When people post it, our watermark is in there, and they start correlating that it's from the league and Surgeon. And so really what we've been doing for this last season is just like building mind share so that people can at least be familiar with it versus knowing exactly what it is, right? And then as like, the TV show comes out, and other things come out, other segments come out, they'll start correlating and putting 1 and 2 together. So it's really been organic. It's been organic growth, especially with some of the talent that we get come down here. We'll have different celebrities.
I was just about to ask that. What sort of talents do you guys get at
the
league? I've seen a few people. I've seen the founder of Namias, and obviously Justin Bieber as well. But what other talents do you have over there?
Yeah, I mean, again, like the league was built and designed to cater to high-end brands coming in fashion, music, cannabis, sports, sneakers. And so I knew through that we would attract some of the high-profile people. So last year we had Future come by. He actually came down to shop because we have a private shopping experience, and he noticed people walking in the space and that it looked like something was going to happen. And I was like, yeah, we have a soccer league going on tonight, soccer and basketball. And so he stayed and watched and had a great time while his kids were like designing shoes. And so that was like our first like huge like celebrity moment of someone coming through and like enjoying the space. And then we had like Floyd Mayweather come down because his nephew was playing on teams. And so he was coming like week after week at some point. London on the Track, he had a team in the league as well. So he'll bring his people down every week. That was fun. And season 2 kind of took a big turn when one of the teams in the league is a fashion-based company. They go by the name of Namias. They're friends with some of the people on Justin Bieber's side. And I just got the call one day like, hey, Justin wants to come and play tomorrow. And he learned what the league was through Donnie, the founder of Namias. And he kind of just explained to him that it's a league where it's really showcasing and highlighting the brands involved. It's not about who's getting dunked on. It's about who's coming together, right? And so ever since JB's first time down here, he loved it. He loved the idea of what the league was about. He loved feeling like an athlete in the space. And so week after week, he's been here. And, that's the epitome of like what the league is about, being able to like service high profile guys like that, feeling comfortable in a space like this. Because again, this is supposed to cater to all these creatives. Because like these creatives don't really have a place to go and exhaust like their sport, there's like their love for sports other than sitting like courtside somewhere, right? So the league gives them an opportunity to come be a GM, a coach, a player, right? And so depending on what you want to do, you'll be a coach, GM, or player. And so Donnie put the team in so he can actually coach and play, and then give other people chances to come by and put a jersey on. So it's been dope seeing that come full circle, because ever since his appearances, I think people are starting to get an understanding of like what the league is about and who it's for and what we're doing to separate ourselves. Really just disrupting this entire space of adult leagues. And I like it.
I love it because no one always has the guts to create an alternative to the leagues that we on a daily basis. But then even you just explained that to me now takes me back to you being in high school or college, correct me if I'm wrong, and having basketball as that language that you were able to use to connect with everyone else.
Correct.
So you've actually come to this space now and used the same source,
Exactly.
which is basketball, to really
100%.
connect multiple worlds into one space.
100%. So that was middle
Yeah,
school and
it's great.
elementary. Middle school and elementary, I
Elementary,
was
okay.
basketball as like
Okay.
the synergy to like, you know, have in common with everyone else. And for same
Yeah,
thing for soccer. I don't play soccer, but I understand how big the sport is. And the
yeah,
founder of the
same.
Surgeon, he actually grew up playing soccer as well. So we highlight soccer as well. So we're using soccer as like that synergy to just get people together, bring them through, because it's just like a universal language.
Yeah, it's amazing because you would never think of sports to do that, but maybe on a larger scale, but not in a community exclusive scale like yours.
Yep.
But you always think of that when you think of music. Music
Yeah.
is what together. So the fact that you can actually use sports, football, so we say football, but soccer and
Cool.
basketball to bring
That's the proper
people
way.
together. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's amazing, and it's like it's ringing bells in my head right now. I'm like, wow, like that's pretty cool. I do have a question to ask as well. It's in regards to obviously what you guys do with the football and basketball leagues as well. Is because you said that you get a lot of creators together. How do you guys do that? Because obviously, when you start off something like that, you'd have had to maybe have been planning over time to really get people involved, especially when people don't understand maybe what it's about yet.
For
Yeah.
sure. For sure. Nah, great question. It was a harder sell for season one because exactly what's happening now is like what we already drew up in our heads and in decks right before season one started. And now it was a matter of just like executing and getting everyone involved. Well, thankfully, this league is based on the brands and not the people. So it's not like Bob and his 10 guys from high school have a team, and you know Jason and his random 6 from the park. You know, each team is a brand, and it starts there. You know, and so these brands have their own networks. These brands also need a place to activate weekly outside of their annual activations. And so I took that approach, right? And so I go to brands and I pretty much start talking about like their marketing budget and like what it is that they're trying to execute for the year. And then I'll formalize and tailor the league to their offerings and to like what it is they want to execute. And so then the easy part is now, hey, we don't have any guys to play or we don't know any basketball players. This is now where I go to our pool of players, of guys that want to be involved in the league, but they may not have a relationship with the brands that are in the league. And so this is now where I put them on, give them the opportunity to come play for the brand. And then they're just going to be the players, and then the brands will use their plus 30 that they get weekly to fill the space up. So people always ask, like, how do all these people get here? Like, who's promoting this? Because we're barely promoting it and we barely market it, right? It's just players get plus 2s, brands get plus 30s. So when you look up and there's 8 teams coming through on a Wednesday night, 4 games, that's how we get 400 people in the space, you know? And it's a super invite only. You kind of get like a club experience outside coming in because you can't get in. It's like a line outside. You have to know what to say out front. It just kind of creates that FOMO, right? Like the fear of missing out. And so through that energy, that's how we're able to keep it going every week because, you know, they can't wait to see who they're going to run into. And again, you know, people love what they can't really have. So anytime there's like there's like a moment around trying to get into the building, it kind of just helps draw and create that hype.
Yeah, because I saw I think it was during the summer a few months ago, a friend of mine from London, his name is Martin Dyan, and he runs the double basketball community here, and he has a 3x3 team that plays in tournaments and stuff like that. But I think one of the UCLA guys that he connected with actually brought him to one of the games there. So I actually saw on his Instagram that he was at one of the league games as well, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
I
crazy.
I've got a podcast interview with them soon, so it's like that's awesome that he's actually looking forward to watching it. But even for me, I'm like the whole idea of how the league is set up is quite interesting, and even myself, the fact that you said that you haven't done any marketing, I think I haven't found you guys just from seeing maybe a pair of sneakers on Instagram Explore page or something like that, and I just clicked on it. It might just been like maybe like 4 stages of clicking before I even
Yeah.
found um, um, the page itself, and I was like, oh
Yeah.
wow, like this is really interesting. I've not seen this before.
Yeah.
And then I started doing my research, LinkedIn, Google, etc., and
Yeah.
obviously found you guys and just got in touch. So it says a lot that there's so many aspects of the brand itself, from the surgeon to the league, that's like doing so many amazing things and connecting with so many people, that
Yeah.
people are just being able to find you guys and connect with you guys in so many different ways. And that's the power of social media, I guess. The question I wanted to ask next was around the younger generation, because I know you said that this is really focused on brands and not the people. Is there a possibility that in the future the league will really push on maybe even being able to connect with grassroots as well,
For
with the
sure.
brands? These are future clientele, future designers as well, creatives as well, that may have a game in may have a game
Yeah.
that could also be this as well.
100%.
Yeah.
And when I mentioned that the league was about the brands before, not to say that it wasn't for the people, but the brands are
Of
like,
course, yeah.
yeah, the brands are more like they're like the star in the room, right? And then the
Sure.
people, they get a big benefit from it because they're going to learn early
Mm.
on how to even connect with brands, how to talk to brands. And so
Yeah.
for the high school or
Yeah.
college guys that play in the league, their biggest takeaway is being able to formalize these relationships with these brands. Now that you have NIL, and then high school and college players can now get
Yeah.
paid from brands, this is like where they start formalizing those relationships and building those relationships. Because as an elite basketball player in middle school, high school, or college, the most we get is like that next level recruiting us to go play there instead of getting
Yeah.
a brand reaching out using us for endorsements. And so this is like where those processes are practiced and formalized. And I've seen it happen on a week-to-week basis where we'll have a top-ranked high school player come play for one of the brands, and not only is he
Oh, dope,
playing,
dope.
getting familiar and acclimated, he'll shake the hand with the owner of the brand as well. And so now he has that brand in his back pocket anytime he thinks he needs support in whatever they're doing. So we have a we do service and cater to grassroots just in different ways. And we've done
Mm.
camps before, and we've also done workshops for high schoolers that come by.
Amazing.
They get to create a shoe and have a basketball practice. The reason why they're creating a shoe is so they can get comfortable creating something outside the court. And so that's like usually that thing that sparks their interest, creativity wise, business wise, entrepreneurship wise. And it's always good seeing a younger crowd fall in love with something or enjoy something that's outside of like what they already are acclimated with. So in the future, we do plan on creating programs and bringing programs around high schools just so they can understand the creativity and the importance of creativity outside their sport.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. As you were speaking, I was thinking. I started getting this thought in my head that the league could really, and I think will, really control a lot of the narratives that happens in a lot of the top leagues globally, especially the NBA. And
Yeah,
the reason why I'm saying that on the entertainment side is with what the league is doing right now, especially with creative brands, you're talking about maybe like college players, high school players that connecting with a lot of these brands, and eventually maybe going into the NBA, the EuroLeague, etc. But because of that connection, that could also be a profitable relationship for both parties as well as you guys.
yeah,
And I'm also thinking things like All-Star games, celebrity games. Guys are honing their skills in your league, that people are building certain brands that are going to get to a certain level, but then now your league is actually honing the skills of a lot of these guys as well, who will be playing in those, to the point that it could actually celebrity game might change to like, okay, let's have all stars from the league versus all stars from maybe Ballers Live versus all stars from XYZ, and
yeah.
like that'll be crazy. That'll
Yeah,
be
and it's
crazy.
it's slowly starting to happen because one of the brands in the league actually acquired Ballers Life Street Ballers to play for them. So now we have a
Oh,
team
dope.
that's like, yeah, we have a Ballers Life team in the league disguised as a brand, right? And so,
Oh,
so, so literally, as you're saying that, like those are some of the things that are like kind of already happening.
but they,
Yeah, so
there
it's
you
it's really crazy seeing the relationships that are built. from the league and
Yeah.
seeing how people are channeling and thinking about things now. Just getting people in rooms that they wouldn't think they would be in is what the league is about. So really just trying to set the tone on what it is to be a part of a league. And, you know, if you look at the NBA or the NHL, like they all refer to themselves as the league. And, you know, once you're in the league, you get these certain perks, whether it's getting thrown in these networks, getting thrown in these circles. And,
Yeah.
you know, the same things we're trying to do here or the same things we're doing here. Just taking a completely different approach with intramural sports.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay. So my next question is, what do you see as the future of basketball right now, on a global scale? If you don't mind asking that from your point of view, from your perspective.
Basketball as a sport in general.
Yes. And sports, culture, lifestyle.
Well, it's adjacent to music, right? Like all musicians like want to be basketball players or
I agree.
some type of like baller or whatever, and then all basketball players want to be musicians. So at the league, we really highlight everything around the sport, and that's kind of already what happens in culture. We're just looking for different ways to like maximize and grow that. So all the things that basketball players love outside the court, those things will become mainstream the same way the sport is, and it's going to be through programs like ours, and you know, just like basketball players kind of just like posting their outside life outside of sports. That's going to help do that. So really, the culture is already set in stone there because basketball is basketball. But really, I think it's going to be the culture outside the sport that continues to grow.
Okay. And what do you see for yourself in the 2024? You as an individual, really, in the space of sports, in the space of creativity, and just in life, really.
I mean, most people say the sky is the limit, but the sky actually has a limit. So
It does.
it's really just honestly just scaling everything that not only I put my hands on, but everything I'm a part of. And it's just like seeing the league jump from where it's been to where it's going, which is like a massive global scale, meaning wherever you are in the world, there's a link you can download to watch what's happening. And so really just like exposing the product of the league worldwide is like one of the goals. Again, like this isn't about who gets dunked on, it's about the culture and brands that are coming together for it, and really just like making sure the world sees that. That's the goal, I would say. Bringing different experiences too outside bringing different experiences too, because again, we're a league built off brands. So we can make this thing pop up in any state, country, or you know, any region. So I love to see it scale to get to a point where we can have the league popping off in different countries, states at a time, and then you know, having people travel within. Like the sky is the sky is the limit, but the league doesn't really have a limit. So just really endless possibilities I'm trying to channel.
100%. I like the fact that you said you can have it in different cities as well, which would be quite cool. Maybe do a tour or do a licensing for it as well. That could be
it's all about talent and all about the players and the skill level. Like there's only so many of those guys, right? And then usually those guys populate to one city, but you know, there's brands all over the world. You know, we can access, we can turn this thing on anywhere. You know, will be the goal. So, you know, the goal is to obviously keep building this, create a model that, you know, big companies obviously see as a threat. And so there's a thing where it's to the point where they want to figure out ways to partner and help us scale.
Hopefully we get to see in the UK sometime in the future, because UK has a lot of talent, that crazy talent that don't really get the limelight, but they're here, especially the younger ones, killing it.
And there's a bunch of dope fashion brands out there, you know, because those will be the guys that hope that the teams, you know, the fashion brands, and it's super possible. Just need the right backing, and we can pop it off.
Yeah, definitely. I've got 3 more questions to ask you, and these are kind of away from our general conversation. So my next question is, do you have a question for me?
Yeah, I guess my question would be like, I mean, you kind of explained to me your process with like how you kind of got started into the space you're in. What was your main driver when deciding that this is the avenue you want to take?
I think for me, it was people. I've always had this I would say I've always, but I have not been able to, I was never able to take action with it until when I started this. And my driver has been to really show people the possibility of things. So like you said, when with your platform, there's endless opportunities. As much as we are called basketball nation, there's endless opportunities. And within the nation itself, there's so many other things that can come from it. It's not just basketball, but it could be a podcast, it could be a cooking show, it could be sneaker design, and our own game console, our own game, doing our own movies. Like it could be anything that you want it to be. You just have to kind of think it and run with it, and the resources we all come together, provide it, and make it happen. So, and for me, that's the driver to people the possibility of that they can create whatever they want to create, because that's the reason why we were all put in this world anyway, to be creators. So, so that's the message that I think of that for myself, and I also try to live it to showcase to the younger generation and everyone else that you can do the same thing as well. So those are my drivers, basically.
Oh, dope.
And to get people to the point where they can be wealthy as well as individuals. So why not?
Right. Yeah. Cool.
And the next one is interesting one. I already kind of know who you're going to start. So start, bench, trade, MJ, LeBron, Kobe.
What was that? I kind of missed that one.
Start, bench, trade, MJ, LeBron, Kobe.
I'm gonna have to start Michael Jordan, and then Kobe's gonna have to come off the bench, and then I'm gonna have to trade LeBron. I just gotta give my credit to like the originators of the sport. Michael Jordan's like that's my guy, and Kobe's also my guy. But LeBron's just like my third guy.
yeah. No worries. And funny enough, I give this when you actually watch the episode. So I released the episode 2 yesterday, and that's with Matt from Ballers Life, Matt Rodriguez.
Yeah.
And his answer to this question was quite legendary as well. He did say that he would trade LeBron for some amazing pieces to go play around MJ and Kobe.
Oh wow!
So,
That's dope. That's actually clever.
Yeah. For someone that doesn't watch the NBA a lot, that was his answer, and I was like, wow, okay, cool. That's cool. And my final but not the least question is, would you like to see on this podcast or recommend to be on this podcast?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Who would you like to see on this podcast or recommend to be on this podcast?
I would like to probably my guy Max Hazard. My guy Max Hazard, he works at Clutch, and he also has Clutch the agency with Rich Paul, and then he also has like one of the fastest growing fashion brands right now in sports.
Okay.
Like athletes are wearing his stuff. It's a very fast hill he's going down right now with people recognizing his stuff, and I feel like he's the epitome, or one of the epitomes of an athlete that has success like beyond the sport. And yeah, he's a recent athlete as well, had the chance to go pro, and certain life's doors opened up, and he walked through the right doors while also chasing a creative dream as well. So I think more people should hear that story.
What's his name of his brand, if you don't mind me asking?
Matt. Oh, it's called Scene. Brand Scene.
Scene. Okay.
Yeah.
Dope. If you can make that connection, that would be great for us. I think
I will.
It's always nice to kind of get to speak to loads of people and connect with more people as well. So yeah. And if you do want to know a bit more about UK basketball and something is a space that you want to explore, do let me know as well. There's so many communities out here that are doing amazing things for basketball. And it's great to kind of create a connection with the US some way, somehow also as well. But
sure.
Ron, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. I know you're super busy, but created time to speak to us today. We appreciate it, and we are very grateful. And for everyone that's watched this episode today, I hope you guys have taken some lessons from this. I definitely have learned a lot. I'm still eager to learn more, But before you guys leave this page, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. Give us feedback. Feedback always helps to enable us to improve and offer the best to you guys. But hopefully we'll see you guys again. Coach David out. Peace.